He really needs to shorten that. That's far too long. Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to...
What in the name of fuck was that?
I know. Anyway, welcome along, everybody, to what's supposed to be the Rangers Rabble member show. But given the news that broke a couple of hours ago, I thought it'd be prudent to go public on this. So for the members, we apologise. We'll throw something out for you guys at some point over the weekend. I can safely say that because I'm going away for the weekend and won't be involved in it. I'll leave that in Martin's lap. But joining me tonight, I've got a stellar lineup. Kieran, who hasn't paid his electric bill, he's sitting in the dark. Kieran, good evening. How are you?
He's on mute. Oh no!
Put himself on mute, not take himself off of it anyway. Here we go.
Couldn't see the mute button? It's too dark. Nah, what it is it creates some ambience in here. The big light, slight light in Hampden, so the wee light all day. I'm all right. Like, how are you doing?
I am all right. The big light. How fucking old are you? That's what my grand used to say. The last time I left was my granny got me into all sorts of bother, so we'll just leave that there. Stuart, how are you doing, pal? Haven't seen you for a while.
Yes, all good. All good. I was actually just thinking the same thing. How long is that intro? I nearly passed out. By the time that gets, so you'll need to do something with that. Although he'll moan because I think he said he spent hours on it, so probably best not say too much. But yes, all good. And some breaking news to discuss tonight. I see
we have, and also joining us tonight is the man with the best porn star moustache this side of Europe, Ross Clark. Ross, how are you?
I've been seeing Scheisse, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Glad to be back on. I feel as if I've not been on a pod for ages.
Right, okay, right. So anyway, guys, as I say, apologies to the members. We've gone public tonight because we've got some rather alarming, in some people's eyes, breaking news that we are looking for our third chief executive or managing director or however you want to frame it in the last 5 years because Mr. James Bisgrove has left the building. Stuart, your initial reaction to Mr. Bisgrove's departure?
a bit of a surprise because I think it's came out the blue the way it did. Just something on Twitter, and then all of a sudden, that's the club announced it. I suppose when you take a step back, I don't think it's a massive surprise that he's moved on. I think there was always that feeling that he was potentially using Rangers as a bit of a stepping stone on a bigger and what he might think bigger and better things in terms of financially for him and stuff like that. So I'm not totally surprised to see that. I think it's interesting. Obviously, we'll get into it. What fans' views are in terms of whether he's been a success or not. I think that's an interesting conversation. So, like I say, I think these things, I'm not overly surprised to see him go. I'm interested to see what sort of role he's taken up in the Middle East, because that's a strange league where it doesn't really operate like clubs have their own ability to make decisions. It's almost like, I think, it's all kind of funded from the family itself, isn't it? So it's all going into a central pot, and then it's all kind of allocated out. So be interested to see what sort of role he's going to do. It's clearly, though, he'll be earning a huge amount of money over there. So I cannot absolutely understand why he's going. I think from a club point of view, I think, as you've just touched on, it's slightly frustrating that we now seem to be back into another period where we're now having to try and find somebody that a lot of the roles at the top of our club, whether that be chairman, manager, academy, chief exec, there's just been a lot of flux and a lot of movement in it, and you would just like a wee bit of stability in that area. So sum up, not overly surprised that there wasn't any kind of murmurings of it, but not overly surprised that he's moved on.
Kieran, what's your thoughts on the fact that the CEO's away, and when he gets replaced, do we go back to the model we had before with managing director, or do we leave it as CEO? And do you actually know what the difference between the two are? Because I haven't got a clue.
Nah, not got a clue what the difference is. Again, like Stuart, I was surprised that he went. Again, it comes out the blue, but I mean, he started off as marketing, then became a CEO, which I thought was a bit strange. I don't think he's done an awful lot bad for us. It's kind of strange, though, he's going to the Middle East. I suppose everyone's going to the Middle East at the moment. They're even talking about moving the darts there. So it's obviously where the money is. And if it's going to set him up for life, then I wish him well, but kind of nervous on either who's going to come in and and replace him, and what we're going to be able to do.
Yep, Ross, here's a comment from Perry, and I have to agree with it. It's pish because anyone that does well at our level is always going to get eyed up with the Saudis. I don't think it's just at our level. Anybody that does well outside of Saudi Arabia is going to get eyed up with the Saudis because the money down there is just absolutely mind-blowing.
As Ken kind of touched on, mate, they're taking everything, aren't they? You look at the biggest fight in boxing in the last 30 years, Saudi. You look at the rematch, Saudi. You look at all the big events, Saudi, Riyadh season. They seem to be throwing a lot of money into trying to become a real sporting super hub where they'll take on anything and do anything. On the Bisgrove going there, I said at the time when Bisgrove was promoted to CEO of the club that I thought it was a weird step for a guy who, sure, he brought in a lot of money, but he doesn't understand Rangers. Anybody that would sign off and suggest on Rangers playing Celtic in Australia, on Ange Postecoglou's jolly around Australia with his team, and so Bisgrove always worried me a wee bit. I also don't think he's got the football knowledge or the football acumen to come out and stand up for the club. I'd like to see somebody a real figurehead of Rangers who is willing to take on the detractors and the people that are kicking us. So I would like to. There's obviously posts on the new John Bennett not being seen in 650, 700 days or whatever, and you look at some of the high-profile decisions that have went against us in that time, and I think we need to rip the paper up and go with a new approach with this. Just the silence and just equal itself out in that. It's no equaling itself out. I think we need a board that have got the balls to go after the people that are going against us and have a bit of a voice. Even the press and everything up here, they just take us for a ride and no a word gets said about it. It feels like sometimes. So I'd like somebody that's got a bit more experience running a football club and possibly that even knows a bit about the actual game as opposed to just how to bring in revenue streams at whatever cost.
Yeah, Stuart, I mean, Ross makes a good point there. I thought it was a bit of a strange appointment at the time because to me, Bisgrove's only a marketing man. Done really well at marketing, don't get me wrong. Brought in lots and lots of money to the club. I mean, the Sydney thing was an absolute shambles. I don't lay that at his door. As far as I'm concerned, in his then position as marketing director, he was told go and make his money. And somebody said there's £3 million to come to Australia. He went to the board. The board should have went, don't be so fucking stupid. We don't do that, but they didn't. So I blame the board for that. But yeah, things like that Sporty Mongo that were going out of business and he put them on the back of our shirts 2 seasons in a row. And okay, we got the money up front, but it's not a good look. And then those was the LFTs, those things that I don't even know what they are. They were digital merchandise or whatever that he got involved in. All that sort of stuff happened on his watch. So I did think it was a bit strange that they made him CEO, and they didn't really tell us what the difference between CEO and ND was, which was the point I put to Kieran. But as Ross said, and there's a few folk in the comments as well, do you think he should be replaced by a football man? And if it is a football man, should it be a Rangers man, or do we just have to come in and completely wipe the slate clean?
Well, I think he was appointed because him and Bennett got on very well, and I think Bennett was impressed by his performance. And to be fair, as we've touched on, his performance in that marketing role was pretty good. I mean, if you look at a CV, says, well, I've taken it from there to there, then that does stand out. I think what will be interesting is Bennett and Bisgrove created this kind of football department, didn't they? That was when they started to take control. That was the shift that they made. They wanted to create. There was almost the board sits there, and then there's this football board as well. So, do you need a Rangers man to be the CEO? Yes, I think that would be very nice. I would be personally, I'm more probably concerned about what their credentials are for that role. There's plenty of Rangers men out there, but have they actually got the ability to then do that job? So Ross says, yeah, I tend to agree with Ross in terms of I think it's striking that balance about putting the fight. sticking up for us, but also what is their ability? Because you've rhymed off quite a few things there, Wilf, in terms of we tried this, we tried that. Some of them didn't work, but he's also tried quite a lot of stuff that did work. He's given us a fan zone, which is absolutely great. He's given us a museum, the Blue Sky Lounge. We're hopefully now getting a sports bar. He was doing things and trying things which were generating money, and we've got to have someone in that position that carries that on. Football isn't going to stand still. Rangers can't stand still, so we need somebody in that position that is aware of what these potential new opportunities are, tries to get in there quick to do that. Now, if you can get a Rangers man who has that ability, then absolutely brilliant. Are they available? I don't know. I think the board will look at CVs and backgrounds probably more than they will, are you a Rangers man at that point? And again, that's why I'd hope that role is about the running of the club, and then you've got that football board which is then in place to make sure that there is then some form of consistency in terms of what's happening on the park. But as I mentioned in my first answer, I think we'd like just some sort of calm at the top of the club as well for a period now. Just seems to be changed quite a lot, and I think it would just be good for the club as a whole to just have a period where it's stable.
Yeah, I mean, Kieran, Stuart says we need a period of stability. I mean, in the last 5 years, we've had 3 chairmen, 3 directors of football, 4 managers, and we're now looking for our 3rd CEO. So, I mean, there's people saying, I mean, I had a quick. It's not scientific. I had a quick look through Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, this week, between the news dropping at 5 o'clock and us coming on here, and there seems to be a lot of people very happy that James Bisgrove's gone, and a lot of people calling for the head of the chairman and for this one and for that one on the board. That leads to even more upset. That to me is not stability. So, do you have any trust in the chairman and the rest of the board to actually, bring us a bit of stability where this is concerned?
I mean, you've hit the nail on the head by saying how much we've changed in the last couple of years. It's crazy. I know there's other football clubs that kind of do the same, but for a club of our stature, we shouldn't be doing that. We need consistency and stability. My biggest fear is we start going backwards. We bring somebody in that's maybe not quite up to it, but we maybe rush to bring somebody in, and things start going backwards. As a CEO of a club, you can't have that. And I feel like we should always aim for anyone that goes, whether it's playing staff, coaching staff, up the higher at the board, to bring somebody in better than the last one. And I'm scared that we're going to rush it. I'm scared that we're going to try and go for something maybe so outrageous as an experiment. I'm sick of the club trying experiments, whether it's bringing somebody in. And we need somebody, like Ross has touched on, that's going to be the vocal point of Rangers, that's actually going to be able to have the balls to say, this isn't right, or we're not doing this, or this needs to change. We need to have stability, and we just need to make sure we don't rush it and bring somebody in that's going to be in the job, maybe a year or so, and gets moved on or headhunted elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, Ross, on talking about the chairman, this is what worries me. But I mean, John Bennett, I've been fortunate enough to meet John Bennett a couple of times, and he seems like a very genuinely nice guy, and he's genuinely a good Rangers man. But that doesn't mean he's a good chairman or good for the club. But as Curry says, we're still waiting for Bennett's statement or comment regarding Rangers' future from 2 years ago. If you remember, he did come out when he first got the gig and did a 2-part statement that they released the first part of, 2-part interview, sorry. They released the first part of it on Rangers TV, and he got absolutely canned and never released the second part. And we've heard absolutely nothing from him since. So, same question you that asked here. Do you trust Mr. Bennett to get the next appointment right?
So it's back to red bloodlines again. So between Bisgrove and Bennett, they are the most senior members of the board. So between the two of them, they signed off on an Everton, Queen's Park Rangers field boss, Harry Watkins, fucking the fat guy with the glasses. They signed off on these under-18s managers to go and spend 20 million quid or 12 million quid or whatever you believe the figure to be last year, and get rid of some really good assets for a lot less money than they were worth. I want somebody that understands what it means I want somebody that's going to get his value for money. I want somebody that's going to make decisions that have really been debated over and that bring value to the club. I mean, you look at, and I'm just talking about the transfers, well, if you look at some of the transfers last year that our board signed off on, 4 million for Lammers, 4.5 million for Dessers, signed off on Seren Cholak for 2 million, signed off on Mick Beale, Pappen, Fashion Sakala. Who can not like Fashion Sakala? And we signed off on throwing him in with the youths and not letting him in with the first team. To me, but between Bisgrove and Bennett, they let Mick Beale run wild, and it set us back years when it comes to transfers. We spoke about the Gerrard fix the roof while it's sunshine, it's no rain, and since then, Bisgrove, and that's been about the club since that time. So you would have hoped that between him and Bennett, they would have noticed that we're back on the downward slump, and how do we get it going back up? But nothing's changing. If anything, it's getting worse. So I don't know. I don't know enough about business. I don't know. I'm the same as you. See, if all it took was a Rangers man that's good at speaking Welsh, you'd be the best person for it, in my opinion. But it doesn't. You've got to let people. I don't know. I don't know what the role is. I don't know the lines between what Bisgrove does, what Bennett does. Who's got the final say? Who's the one that picks the new managers? Who's the one that signed off on a 20 million new Edmundston house that's not going to pay for itself for the next 15, 20 years when you've got a team of people on the park that kind of kick their own arse? The fans are paying their season ticket money. Your missus must hate you. You must pay thousands of pounds every year to follow Rangers all over the place. And the product that you're paying to see on the park's shite, but you've got Callum Beattie playing in front of 200 folk in Edmundston House that they can't sell out tickets for anyway. I think there's a whole load of stuff that that's above the level that I understand, because I'm just a simple fan. I don't pretend to know that I know how the business part of Rangers Football Club runs, but what I know is right now it's not running well.
Right, Stuart, picking up on what Ross said there, I know that football's a very strange business. It's run like no other business in the country or on the planet even. But do you think that as ordinary Joe supporters, who some of us are business minded, some of us aren't, I'm just a humble van driver, you know what I mean? Ross is just a German porn star, you know what I mean? It's we're not all business guys. So do you think that somebody at the top of the club should be coming out and trying to explain to us, the chairman's remit is, the CEO's remit is, so that we know who's responsible for what? I mean, we've got this executive board now that's come in that they've cobbled together since they've said that James Bisgrove's leaving. With John Bennett as executive chairman, what's the difference between an executive chairman and a chairman? I don't know. I'm just a layman. I haven't got a clue. How's that changed his role in the last? Should we as fans be told this, or do we just have to trust him to get on with it?
So I think that there was a kind of pressure and a momentum building there that John Bennett should absolutely now come back out and speak to the fans. Admit where mistakes have been made and tell us the plan for the future. That absolutely has to happen now with Bisgrove going, because the one thing I would give Bisgrove some credit for was that he was pretty visible in terms of his communications. He started up those fan forums and stuff like that, and yes, that doesn't go to everybody, but it was at least something. I think he had engaged with some fan media as well at times. So, I think there was a visibility from him. What the club cannot do is wait for his replacement, whoever that may well be, to then come in and then start talking again. You can't have that void. So, I take it the executive chairman means that Bennett will have a more hands-on on the day-to-day running of the club. And in the meantime, until somebody's in, again, you would think this hasn't just happened in the last 24 hours. So, I dare say that the club have had some warning, and there'll already be something in motion in terms of whoever the replacement would be. But John Bennett needs to come out and explain, are they going to keep it running the way that him and Bisgrove had set it up? Is that the plan? Is they still going to have the board and then the football board. And also, I think it's quite important that somebody that's now been in position for 5-6 months since the turn of the year, I think it's important that we hear for Kloppen as well now. You know, he's got a massive, massive role to play this summer in terms of the recruitment. And you've got a manager who's very vocal in saying it needs ripped up and starting again. I think we need to hear from our director of football now in terms of what he's found over the last 6 months, what he's liked, what he hasn't liked, and what he's put in place, and how he sees that evolving over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, etc. What's the impact? What we're doing about the academy? We keep losing academy directors, so he can't be a silent partner in all of this. So I think Kloppen has a massive role to play. But absolutely, first and foremost, if you're the chairman of Rangers Football Club, even though you've done a bad interview in the past, that shouldn't then mean that we never hear from you again. If you're in that position, you should be speaking to the fans on a fairly regular basis. But also, I think people at Kloppen, etc., should be doing that also.
Yep, I think you're reading my notes over my shoulder because Kloppen was the next thing I was going to come to. But before I get to that, as regard the chairman, I from memory, I think we heard more from John Bennett when he was vice chairman because Douglas Park didn't speak to the media at all. I mean, he didn't even speak at AGMs. So I think we heard more from John Bennett before he got the top job than we have. And you're right, he has to come out and start speaking to us. So Kieran, the director of football recruitment, to give him his full title, Niels Kloppen. His job now is a lot more important than it was because, as Stuart says, he has to come out. We'll have to hear from him. We have to know what he's looking at. You know what he's found under the bonnet since he's been in, because the next 2 or 3 months in his job are absolutely critical to move us the way we need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like Stuart said, it'd be good for him to actually come out, maybe release a statement or something, and say maybe where he sees it going. I think at the moment, Kloppen's obviously been in the background. He's seen what players are probably going to be going. Obviously, there's a couple of players that were not so much guaranteed, but the writing was kind on the wall already with that. I just feel like he has to come out and say something. What's the direction that he's going? Has he got players in mind already? Obviously, he's not going to tell us exactly what every single player he's got on his list, but give something to the fans. The board are far too secretive, and this is the board that gave the keys to Ibrox to a car salesman. So I feel like the way that we've been going about it, it's not good enough. But when Kloppen, if he makes that statement and he says this is what we need to do, etc., I think, well, I know as myself, I just want to know what's happening with my club. I would just like to be not so much kept in the loop because I didn't work there, but you know what I mean. As a fan, you just want to know what's Kloppen doing. Has he got a plan in motion? Has he got a model that he wants to kind of base us on going forward? We just need to hear from him, in my opinion.
Yeah, Ross, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you also think that it's very important that part of this new executive committee that's going to take place till they get a new CEO or MD or whatever they call it? Also involved in that are the Chief Financial Officer, James Taylor, and the Chief Commercial Officer, Karim Varane. Is it important that they're involved in it? I mean, quite what the commercial guys got to do in there, I've got no idea. But, you know, do you think it's important that particularly the financial officers involved in this?
See for me, the only time the football board and the big board, if you want to call them that, get together should be to say to Kloppen and the gaffer, you've got X amount of million to spend this year. If you sell him for that, any money you make will go straight back to it. I mean, if my football board, I want them to know what they've got to spend, and then I want Kloppen to go away and use his contacts and spend it and get the best value. As I say, see this other board and all these big fancy titles, and I mean, it doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know enough about running a football club to be able to say what the financial guy or what I do know is what did you just call him there, Wolf?
Who's that? The Chief Financial Officer, James Taylor?
No, the other one.
Commercial. Officer, Karim Varane.
commercial, so I'm taking it they deal with the commercial side of the business, selling things and bringing money in that way. Well, there you go again, mate. You've got that fat Mike Ashley releasing the kits for us again. How's that still happening? Fans have been asking this for 2 years. That's a worry in a lot of fans' minds that sports director releasing our kits before, because we've been told Mike Ashley's getting no say in Rangers, he's getting nothing, but then he's releasing kit. See if that was any other club in the world, they'd be cutting that short right away. Oh, what's happening here? Why is that happening? Going to Castore and saying, how's he releasing pictures of our kits before us? We've got a shooting on it and he sticks a thing up on Twitter. So see, commercially as well, I think we're a bit of a bomb scare commercially to be quite honest with you. So I don't know about adding this guy from one board to another board to another board to another. I don't know what the board's doing, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that Karim Varani, he got Bisgrove's job and Bisgrove got the CEO job. And you're right. I mean, the whole Mike Ashley thing is a piece of nonsense. I mean, I'm not saying for a minute Castore shouldn't deal with Mike Ashley, because they'd be mental not to, because he's the biggest sports retailer in the UK, and they've got to want to have their gear in his shops. But as you say, Ross, any other club would be jumping on it saying, look, we've spent all this money, done all this big promotion shoot, and he's dropping out a tweet saying, look, I mean, I saw the new away top 3 or 4 days ago before Rangers released it yesterday. You know what I mean? Because of that. It's just ridiculous. So before we continue, I noticed we've got a new member jumped on board with us there. So Gary McDonald. Gary, welcome along to the Rabble. I hope you enjoy what you see. As I said earlier, this is supposed to be a member show, but we've gone public due to the fact it's fairly big news. And I'm glad you worked out how to join the channel, because you did ask that question. On the subject of strip, Stuart, just to go off the board for a minute or two. First of all, do you like it, the new away strip? And second of all, will you be paying 75 notes for
it? I'm a strip geek, so yes, they've already taken my money. I love it. I think it's one of the best that they've done. I'm actually probably there was a really interesting kind of debate going on Twitter the other night about, we're going into the last year of our kind of contract with Castore and whether or not we should keep them. I'm probably in the minority. I actually quite like Castore. I think never really had any issues with the quality, and I think actually some of the strip designs now seem to be getting better, and I think actually we are now their biggest club. So I'm not, whilst the thought of going to Nike and Adidas is always nice, I'm not convinced actually you're going to get, from how I understand, I think they work in like a tiering system, and we wouldn't go straight into the top tier with Adidas and Nike, so you would just be getting one of their very bland standard strip designs that goes across numerous teams. You wouldn't get any pro versions and stuff like that. So I quite like Store. I like this strip. I think it's a really nice strip. I like the kind of the badge going back to that kind of 97, 99 away top, or the tops that we had back then. So they've already got my money, and they'll get my money for all 4, or if it's 5 of them, because that's that's what happens. It just gets added to the collection. What about you? Do you like it?
I do like it. I haven't bought it yet because I'm in no rush to buy it, because I don't know if I will. I got stung last year because I used to buy, when it was only 2, I bought the home and away top, but I only wear replica. I don't collect them. I only wear replica tops to games. So it's a lot of money to spend for a top. I'll maybe wear half a dozen times.
By the way, I mean, the £75, I think it's went up again since last year. And, I've heard a few things saying, look, it will just keep going up. What is the end point here? Because I appreciate, I'm fortunate I'm in a position I can do that. But if you are, you've got 2 kids or whatever like that, and they're screaming for new jerseys, and there's 4 of them that are getting released, I can absolutely understand that it puts a real strain and real pressure on financially on people. So what's the ceiling here? What's the breaking point before fans start saying no, enough's enough?
Yeah, I think David Edgar made a good point in Heart and Hand today. I was listening to the Daily Update earlier, and he says it's gone up a 5 from last year. I mean, what we have to remember, and this is my own personal thing on it, what we have to remember is it's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money for a football shirt, because you go to any other club, that's probably what you're going to pay. I don't know for a fact, because I don't look at any other
We're not any different. Well,
No.
we're not any. I mean, we're in the ballpark of everybody else. Yeah.
But we think it's expensive because we spent 5 or 6 years not giving Mike Ashley their money. And when we stopped buying strips, they were like 40 quid. And they've now almost doubled in price because that's just the way they're going. And they appear to be going up a £5 a year. And as they said in Heart and Hand earlier, the ceiling will probably be when it gets 100 quid. People say, stop, that's enough. Because they do seem to be going up a £5 every year. And there's no way it's costing that much more, to make the strips. And I really, really feel for anyone that's got young kids, as you say, that's going to have to pay, because the kids want all the strips, because Johnny down the road's got the strip, so I want the strip. And it's not just birthdays and Christmas. And even if it's just birthdays and Christmas, it's a hell of a lot of money. So
and it's not just a top, because they want the full,
yeah.
The shorts and the socks. I mean, I think it's, what is it, nearly 20 quid for a pair of football socks.
Absolutely mental.
Wow.
So Kieran, I don't know if you've seen the picture from some of the windows of a couple of the Rangers stores. I don't think Rangers actually officially announced the away goalkeeper's top. Have you seen the pictures of that?
It's kind of light red, isn't it? It's
I believe having spoke to people that have seen it in the flesh, it's actually pink.
Oh well, listen, I'm a goalkeeper myself in a Sunday team, and I've always liked the Rangers goalkeeper tops. Going back to your first point on the away top, I like it. I think it's really nice. The price on it, I think, yeah, it's pricey. Like you said, it's going up a £5 each time. It's a bit of a, that's not the top you're showing. You better delete your history there, Ross. No, listen, what's kind of annoying me is, and I get it, it's the time they announce it, we've just lost the double to our biggest rivals and it's gone up a £5. Like, I felt a bit like a kick in the balls, to be honest. I've not bought it yet. I will probably wait till it comes down in price. That's just my opinion on it. I noticed that the Rangers shop yesterday, there was a sale on. It was like an 80% sale. So there was a lot of stuff on there, which I was quite happy to spend money on. But for me, 75 quid, it's no that it's far too pricey, but it's something I can do without. I can wait till the end of the season and pick it up on the 80% sale. It doesn't bother me. To me, it's just a top. The top means nothing to me if the people that are wearing it on the pitch aren't performing. Look at the curse of the purple, the lilac strip that we wore against. Was it Malmo in the Champions League? And we got pumped. And folks said that it was the strip, and they were actually quite reluctant to wear the strip again. And
well, there's also Stevie Scotty's point. The Orange and Navy's third strip from last year. We got beat in it at Kilmarnock first game of the season, never seen again. And also, if you go back to a couple of seasons before that, the special edition strip we wore against St Mirren in the Cup, we got knocked out of the League Cup. That never saw the light of day again either.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. If you look at it, as a fan base, we're very superstitious. You can see the players are superstitious before a game, but that lilac kit, you've never really seen it. I've never seen anybody wearing it outside, even at Ibrox, maybe a handful wearing it. The B&M kit, it looked nice. I didn't buy it, but again, it was because the Kilmarnock game. And I don't want to say I'm really superstitious and everything, but if the players aren't performing in it, I don't want to wear it. And that's just my opinion on it. I'll wait till it comes down in price. Having it in Sports Direct, again, is a farce before it's even announced on our page. The amount of people that were commenting on the actual unveiling of it going, what a surprise, because everyone's seen it already. To me, it's not that we're lacking in that department, because Castore are making money off Sports Direct, obviously, getting to sell their gear. When me first joined Castore, it's not so much that they weren't the biggest brand out there, but they were a fairly new brand. So the first couple of kits and stuff that came out, I felt Castore were releasing something every couple of days at one point, which, if you're like Stuart and you buy every single thing that comes out, but you can get it in a kid size, I just feel like Castore were kind of taking a piss a little bit. But I like the way that they've been doing it now. I really like the type of stuff they're bringing out, especially this away kit. But Yeah, as Sharpie Staunch said there, he's not wore his old style cup shirt since Ross's brother, since he scored. Yeah.
Ross's brother didn't score, but he got the assist, unfortunately.
But aye, just to wrap it up on myself there, I'll not be buying it straight away. But yeah, if anyone else wants to buy it, can feel free. But my opinion on it is it's a bit pricey. £75 I can do without.
Yeah, as Ian Dill says, and our fans will buy them. I don't agree. It's a pointless discussion, but I mean, yeah, I get the point. Our fans will buy them because there's hundreds of folk like Stuart, like Brian as well, who buy all the strips because that's what they do. They collect them, and that's, if they're in a fortunate enough position to do that, that's fine. Like Stuart, I like Castor. I've never had a problem with them. I've got a lot of Castor gear that isn't Rangers. You know, I used to do a lot of running. I don't anymore. I've got a lot of. I mean, even my missus, she likes the Castor because it's quite comfy. You know, and it is quite good. But Ross, to tie up the strips and the way we operate as a business, right? We've just released the away strip 2 or 3 days after losing a cup final, when the mantra for the cup final was all blue at Ibrox. Do you not think at Hampden? Sorry, do you not think it would have been an idea for them the week before the cup final to release the new home strip and say, right, all blue, let's all go out and buy that?
So again, you're back to commercial, us being in the doldrums, aren't you? That would make sense, wouldn't it? And you're coming up to like the end of May, start of June. Folk are starting to go on holidays, maybe taking the kids out of school for the last couple of weeks, and you want the new home top, don't you? That's the one kids will wear because that's the one that the heroes play in most often. On the Castori thing, catch me on Only Scrans. Sharpie, you'll catch me on Only Scrans. No fans, just me eating with my tash, getting bits of egg stuck in it. On the Castori thing, Wolf, I think Castori have very much something for everyone. And I remember saying this before on here. If you went into a sweetie shop and they just sell Mars bars and you didn't feel like a Mars bar that day, then you're screwed, aren't you? Because that's all they're on. For me, Castori offer, they bring out 5 kits, but they don't hold a gun to everybody's head and say, you better buy all 5 of these kits. Yeah. Towards the middle of the season, they brought out, was it the City something gear that had like the Glasgow? Yeah. So that I just seen that there. It's down to £50. I might pick that up. I really like that. But like they offer something for everyone. See if you're just a fan that wants to buy the home shirt. The home shirts are always decent. They pick the right shade of blue. It's got the Rangers badge on it. It's a Rangers home kit. But I like the fact they go a bit out the box sometimes, and all for the people that like to have that wee bit more panache that can pull it off. Do you know what I mean? If you can pull off a pink goalie strip, or if you can pull off a purple thing that's got wee checkerboard bits on it, then they've got something for everyone. If you want the plain black training gear because you maybe wear it to your 5-a-sides, they've got it. If you've got blue, you want blue training gear. If you want something that's a bit fancier, they'll give you something with a nice print on it. But then, for me, you can never have too much choice because some people are a wee bit more flamboyant. Some people like their old-fashioned. Some people, for me, the fact that we get a unique kit every year for them, I'm a fan of the Castor stuff. To be honest with you, I think that they've been good for us. But I'll tell you what, I think we've been good for them as well. And as you say, even it's the market Rangers fan now, isn't it? Like I go down to Portsmouth for work and stay in Gunwharf Quay. They've got a Castori shop there, and you go in and some of the golf stuff they sell and some of the leisure wear that Stu's got on the news. They're a decent brand, decent quality, and they're actually decent value for money as well. I wouldn't be too disappointed if we renewed with them for say another 3 years. I wouldn't be too disappointed with it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, just to say, I agree with Ross and he's spot on. You can't have a club shop that size and it just has reels of strips because people will get very. Once you've bought the strip, then why are you ever going to go back to the club shop? So you've got to have different products to get them in. And I remember an interview with the guys that run Castor where they couldn't quite believe. I think they thought it was a joke at first when Rangers fans were saying, well, you're going to have the ducks. no, the Rangers Ducks, and I think they thought it was a joke. But actually, then they suddenly realised, no, actually they're right. They're actually seized. And if you go onto the website, every year you will see ducks now in the new Rangers top. So I agree with Ross. I would have them because I think I think you get a better, as a club, you've got a better relationship with them because we're big to them. And now that we're coming to the end of the contract, we can now go back to them and say, I wouldn't mind just going to tender, right enough, but saying you're now going to need to up what you're offering us here because we've shown year after year that we buy the product. So it's time you were good to us because not many people would have touched us at that time with the Sports Direct stuff that was going on. So great that you did that, but we've been, as Ross says, we've been good to you. So now let's get back round the table and negotiate. And I'm sure that's already happening. I don't think we'd be going into the last year without discussions have already taken place.
Yep, I agree. And Davy P, no, it's not sponsored by Castor tonight, but if they do want to sponsor the Rabble, we're more than willing to take their coin off them, or even just a few shirts.
Well, can I also just ask, because I genuinely don't know the answer to this question. We used to wear the new strip. If you were in the cup final, you used to wear the new strip at the cup final. Back in the day, you used to always do that. Is there a rule now in place that you can't do that? Is it because you need to have your strips set out at the start of the season? And you can't then suddenly change that. I don't know the answer if MD knows that, because it seems strange, as you say, that would have been an ideal opportunity to get a new strip out there for a cup final, but they're not doing it anymore.
I don't know the answer, but it'd be interesting to find out because it was something that used to always happen. There's a few folk have put in the comments, but you're right about what you say. I mean, replica strips aren't for everybody. You know, not everybody likes a replica strip. I mean, I heard a stat the other day that they did a sort of straw poll. I don't know how many they spoke to, but supporters under 40 seem to like kind of, you know, more garish designs, more kind of out there designs, like the top that was mocked up a few weeks ago that everybody thought, look at the state of that. The kids kind of liked that, although it was only a mocked up kit that's never going to see the light of day. Whereas old duffers like me prefer the plain. I mean, that white strip's brilliant. If the home strip's exactly the same as that in blue, they've cracked it with me. Absolutely knocked it out of the park. And if the third and fourth kits, because they will do them, are a wee bit more kind of colourful and flamboyant, then that's fine. It doesn't really bother me. You know what I mean? And as you said, Stuart, you need to have more than just the strips. You have to have t-shirts like when I'm wearing one just now, you know, t-shirts and different bits and bobs. The thing that I don't think they do very well, they don't do the accessories very well. They've got the rubber ducks, but they don't do the other stuff very well. I mean, as everybody knows, my missus is a jambo. You walk into the Hearts Club shop and it's like our shop used to be. You know, you get rubbers and pencils and key rings and all sorts of nonsense. We don't do that because Castor's a clothing brand. They've been with us long enough now, they should know that they need to do all that sort of stuff. And hopefully if we do renew with them, which I wouldn't have a problem with, they do all that. Because a lot of people that visit the club, they don't want to buy a piece of clothing. They maybe only want to buy a wee trinket for a £5, which we don't really have a lot of. You know what I mean? Or a kid will get a tenner pocket money. You're not going to buy out with in the sales. They're not going to buy a t-shirt with a tenner pocket money, but they might buy a wee hat or a wee, you know what I mean, stuff that we just don't actually do, a wee teddy bear or whatever that we don't actually do. But I think that's enough chat about Castor. So the general consensus seems to be we like the away top. And personally for me, if the home top's exactly the same but in blue, they've absolutely cracked it for me. So Kieran, let's go away from the board because that was let's talk a little bit about what I was planning to talk about tonight, and I've got 15 minutes to cram it all in, which was the state of the playing squad. Now, we're not going to be able to touch on a lot of it. So let's go to the players that are out of contract. And it seems to be generally perceived that Leon Balogun has or is signing a new one-year contract. Are you okay with that? Do you think he should go with the rest of them? Should he be the only one? Should we try and entice Ryan Jack to stay? Talk to me about out-of-contract players.
Where did I start? Right, well, we'll start with Balogun. Yeah, I'm happy if he signed again, but it's only just for some leadership. He should hopefully be told that he is going to be last resort centre back. But I think he'd be really good to have around the place. He knows what it's like. He knows the club, and hopefully we can maybe start a new leadership group. Going back to Ryan Jack, no. It's hard because I really liked Jacko. However, this season he's not really been a Rangers player, has he? I think the reason the strips have went up a fiver is probably because we're given the physio compensation about the amount of stuff they've had to do this season. Honestly, I think Jacko would be better moved on. Like Paul says there, Balogun's going to be a backup. I don't think he'll even be a backup. I think he will be one of the last resorts if we get people in. If we don't get people in, I can see them maybe becoming a backup again. But the list goes on. We've got Ruth that's definitely going. Lundstrom that no one's actually said he's going yet. Barisic, Clement has basically said he's away. Lundstrom wouldn't give him another contract. I think he's down tools. I think the weight of the jersey has caught up to him. I think he had that purple patch when Clement first came in, but now I'm quite happy to see the back of him. A couple of his antics have cost us in the last games. I just don't think there's really anyone that's out of contract that I would keep besides Balogun, giving him 1 year. And even then it would be, like I said, just to keep around the dressing room. I don't see him playing a big part next season. He's been loyal to the club. He even said when he came back that this was his home and he was happy to be home. He didn't need an excuse to come home. That's the type of players I want at the club, that live and breathe this club, not somebody that's here just for a paycheck. And a couple of players that have left on a free contract, I think we're coming to that point where they were just here for a paycheck. And I think there's a few players in the club now that I believe are still just here for the paycheck, and they're not here for the fans. They're not here for the history, and they're not here for the club.
That was the road I was going to go down tonight until Rangers dropped the CEO bombshell at 5 o'clock. So, Ross, what do you think? The out-of-contract players, Balogun, 36, 37 years old, should we keep him about the building? I mean, you know, Kieran says start a new leadership group. Would you start a new leadership group with a guy that old? Is he going to do a Davy Weir and be here till he's in his 40s? Or is it just a 1 year contract for a wee bit of stability? Fourth or fifth choice centre back, and this time next year, thanks for your service, and off you go.
It depends what else we do in the centre half department, doesn't it? If Goldson's still going to loiter about, if you can't get somebody to take Goldson off your hands, if you can't sort something for Leon King, who isn't ready to play for Rangers as a centre half. Ben Davies, you're looking to get something back on Ben Davies, aren't you? If Balogun's on $3 or $4 grand a week, I would say aye. But even this year, how many games have we played where he's been injured as well? I see people in the chat, he's a good, reliable backup, always available. He's missed a lot of games this season where he's been injured. And father time catches up with everybody. Well, you've not experienced that yet, but it'll come to you one day as well.
Well, believe me, I don't worry about
that. But see, if you don't know what kind of wage he's getting, if you're giving him an improved deal on 12 grand a week, say, I don't think that's. I wouldn't have given him a deal on that. If he's getting 5 grand a week and he's happy to take that, because he wouldn't get that anywhere else anyway. He would be going down the leagues at this point in his career, wouldn't he? He's here for the sentiment. I don't know on the Balogun one. Ryan Jack, as I've said on here a million times, love him, but he's unfortunately made his bed where the last 2 times he's battled to get himself back fit, then he goes away with Scotland. Now, Stephen Gerrard told us a way back then that every time Ryan Jack goes to Scotland, when he's at Rangers, he's on an individual training programme because he's got a knee and a calf problem that we nurse and we make sure he's loaded correctly. Then he goes to Scotland, he goes into general training and breaks down. And I said on here this time last season, I would only have gave Jack a year's extension had he more or less been told, look, I'm committing to Rangers and I'm going to pull out international football, which he never done. And again, when it's got to the crunch time of the season, he's played 11 minutes for Scotland and then missed months. So Jack, it tugs on my heartstrings a bit because I think Ryan Jack on his game now is still class, so good, but he's just so unreliable. And for the money he would be on, what age is Jack? 30, 31? Is he as old as that? 29 maybe, something like that.
Keep talking.
But he's going to look for his big contract, and this will be his last contract, and he'll fancy Celtic go and get a move, maybe Championship in England, and somebody will take a shot on him. The same way Roof will go and probably end up falling sidewards as well, because somebody will take a chance and put it down to our physios not being able to keep him fit. Lundstrom for 40 grand a week, not a hope. But what I hope we do this year, Wilf, is see the players run about us that are performing in the league against us and against Celtic and against Hearts and against Hibs and against Aberdeen, who are the trickier teams in this league. The likes of the boy Watson at Kilmarnock, the likes of Connor Barron, the likes of, I would take a punt on the boy Armstrong at Kilmarnock, the winger. I think he's been excellent this season, but they're no fancy enough names for us. They're no fancy enough names for Rangers fans. See, if his name was Armstrong, we would be like that or sign him. But it's so weird. Obviously, everybody knows my thoughts on Shankland, but the likes of Ryan Jack, if you're losing Ryan Jack and say he's on 18 grand a week, I'd be quite happy to lose him and pick up Connor Barron, who would be on less than 18 grand a week, moving for Aberdeen on a free. And you've not really lost much. Going and paying, if he's on 18 grand a week, what's that, £1 million a season? See if you have to go and pay 600,000 for the boy Watson for Kilmarnock, or if you have to go and pay £500,000 for the boy, what's his face's son? It's not Lee Miller, is it? Is it Lennon Miller? If you want to go and get somebody like that, and you pay a bit of dough for these young people that have come in and proven it in our league, we're still talking about Ross McCausland being a young boy at 21, 22, and you've got these boys like Miller and stuff coming in at 19 and absolutely tearing the place up. The boy Watson, 18, 19, tearing the place up. So for me, we could pat the 5 out of contract players and go and shop in the league, and by the end of this season, you'd have made a net profit and you'll have them on a 4-year deal just by the wages we're saving.
Yep, right. Ryan Jack's 32, by the way.
Would I say 30, 31?
31, I'd be 32.
So he'll fancy, Ryan Jack will fancy Celtic to get a move to Championship in England, and he'll get a contract where somebody will offer him 12, 15 grand a week for a couple of years, 3 years, and that will see him up to his 35. And he's good enough to get that, because anybody that watches him when he's fit would say aye, and it would be, I think teams would fancy themselves to manage his injuries a lot better than we have, because we can't even. But we can take the healthiest guy in the world, and he comes in to watch a game and goes out in a box. Yeah.
I'm not sure English Championship's the place for him, because I think Ryan Jack's body doesn't let him play 3 games a week, and it's 3 games a week every week down there. But like you say, if they can manage them, then they manage them. Sharpie, you're right. This is supposed to be a member show, and you're not a member. You can become a member. I think all the details are at the bottom. When I'm not even quite sure what you do with it. It's supposed to be a member show, but because the James Bisgrove thing broke at 5 o'clock, we thought we'd better let everybody hear what we've got to say about it, because we don't have a Monday night pod this week, because we're advising on a couple of weeks off, given it's the start of the pre-season, start of the close season rather. So welcome along, and if you're not a member, why not? Just the links are all there, or if they're not, it should be quite easy to find them, because I'm not quite sure what to do when I set it up. Like and subscribe, as Paul says. Stuart, we're rapidly running out of time here, because I'm quite set and finish this after an hour, because I've got a flight to catch tomorrow morning. So you want to have your say on Leon Balogun or any of the other out of contract players? Do we keep any of them? Should we keep Balogun? Do we offer Kemar Roof a new contract?
We absolutely don't do that. In an ideal world, all of the out of contract players go, but it's going to be impossible for us to get rid of 15, 16 players and bring 15, 16 in. It's not all going to happen in this one window. And again, I think that's going back to the earlier points about the club communicating, having your director of football or director of recruitment coming out and just having an honest conversation with us about the fact that, we are starting again, and it will take a bit of time. Fans, we're desperate for success, but I think the majority of fans will appreciate that there's some honesty. It's not saying we don't believe we're not going to challenge, or we don't think we can win anything, but that the process to get exactly where we want to be will take longer than one window. So in an ideal world, I think they should all move on. If if some have to stay, then the only one I would be keeping around would be Leon Balogun. I think, but that is on the premise that I think these guys have touched on, that he's around the club. That I don't want Leon Balogun being our first, a starter. That's what I want, a freshness to that defence. I think that's been long overdue. I think something like Balogun though does highlight where we've went massively wrong with our recruitment. We brought him in for a year as a bit of a backup, as a bit of a stopgap, let him go to bring in what we thought was Leon King, and now we're in a position where we've actually now went back to Balogun. We now look as if we're going to give him another deal, and Leon King is, as Ross says, doesn't even look ready to be, nowhere near ready to be playing centre half for Rangers, and I doubt he actually ever will. So again, it's that kind of forward planning, there, that we're letting somebody go because we think we've got his replacement, and now we're in a position where he's now going to be getting another 2 years from us. And that's nothing against Balogun. I do like him. I think he's been decent. I thought he was very good in Saturday, actually. So he would be the only one that I would keep at this stage. But I appreciate that it's not going to be possible for us to kind of wipe the slate completely clean. But I think it would be really, really foolish for us to be looking at players like Ryan Jack and Kemar Roof and stuff like that, because we just know they're not fit. So we can't take that risk.
See, going back again, Will, to just when you're talking about centre halves and stuff, we're the only team in the world that sends a player out on loan for a season. It absolutely smashes it. Like, you look at Scales, Celtic put him up to Aberdeen on loan. He plays a season, does well. He's right into their first team. We put Lewis Mail to Kilmarnock. He done really well. Kilmarnock were choking to get him back. Rather than us saying, right, he's done his loan and bring him back and start bedding him in the first team, we sell him for $100,000, and we go with the guy who's not been on a loan yet, Leon King, as your emergency cover. The boy Mail's probably had a better season than any of the centre halves we've got, and Bill couldn't wait to kick him out the door either.
Yeah,
so we need to learn a lesson with that.
Well, I mean, that's why we need to hear from Coppin, because obviously that was down to the fact we didn't have a director of football when Beale, like she got rid of Lewis Mayo. I'd certainly have kept him. He got rid of Cholak. I mean, he sung Tony Cholak's praises and punted him the first chance he got. So that's why, and that's as we said right at the start of the pod. That's on the board because the board gave him the keys to the castle, and he made a monumental ass of it. But while I've got you talking, Ross, just before we go, there's a lot of chat in the comments about goalkeepers. One or two people seem to think Butler's definitely for the off because we're linked with some Eastern European goalkeeper. That's a new one on me. I've not heard that one. The strong word on the street is Liam Kelly's coming back. And I really seriously hope Liam Kelly's coming back as a backup keeper. Obviously, John McLaughlin's contract's up, so he'll be away. He's done really well getting paid all this time for putting codes out. And Robbie McCrory's only got a year left on his deal. So as far as I'm concerned, Robbie has to go for the good of his own career.
Yep. Mate, I'm not going to tell any lies. Obviously, I was laughing at Celtic fans in my work when Celtic were linked to Liam Kelly. I don't see it with Liam. I don't think he's had a great season. I think he's a good goalkeeper, but this season, I think he would be the first to admit that he's probably had one good game all season, and it was against us at Ibrox in the 2-1 game. So, mate, I don't understand the goalkeeper thing. If you can get money for Butland, then I've learned my lesson when it came to Morelos and Kent, when they had a good season and folk wanted to spend money on them, and we wanted to hoard them, and no, that's not good enough. Jack Butland has been good for us, but as a caused civil war in the group chat at the weekend by saying, see, when it's really, really came to the crunch this year, we get back to 2 each in the Old Firm game at Ibrox, and he let one right through his hands to let Celtic go 3-2 up and took away any momentum we had. He wasn't great the Motherwell game. The last six league games, I would say he looked nervy, and then in the cup final, he spills one right at their feet in the 89th minute. So Jack's been great for us. He's a great goalkeeper. He's an England international, but I don't think he's as irreplaceable as we're making him out to be.
If I can quickly jump in there, Ross, but like when you're saying he's looking nervy, I mean, almost every game the opponent gets a shot on target within the first to 5 minutes. As a goalkeeper, it will put you off instantly if somebody's coming straight at you constantly. And as a team of Rangers, we're based on possession. We dictate the game. For the last couple of games, teams have been getting the ball for the kickoff, long ball over the top, and it's either a shot on target where he's got to make a save or it's a goal. How could you have any confidence in yourself when you know you've got that back line in front of you?
So obviously you play in goals, Kieran. I played in goals myself at a decent level, but I'm not having that excuse for Jack Butland letting that one in the cup final fall out of his hands when it really, really, really has mattered. I'm not sure.
No, I get that one. I totally get that. And listen, every keeper makes a mistake. You know it yourself. And it is usually the mistake that everyone remembers. You could make a million saves in a game, but it's the one goal that you let pass that everyone criticises you on. And unfortunately, that's the goal that lost us the game.
Right, before we start a civil war on goalkeepers, that's us just over the hour. And as I say, I'm down.
Well, I'll keep this very quickly. I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about the CEO. I did read someone saying that they should just give it to Dujon Sterling. He does everything else anyway, so why not give it to Dujon? That did make me chuckle. So Dujon for CEO. There we go.
Yeah, Dujon for CEO, Eurovision Song Contest, the Pope, the whole lot.
Dujon for skipper. That's my
100%.
Smash out Dujon for skipper next year.
For that to happen, we have to get rid of the skipper that's there.
Well, so I think we can make big boy decisions and tell him the weight of the armband's weighing heavy on him. And
Ross, we can, but the problem is, can the manager, would he be backed by the board? And that takes us right back to where we started from. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much. Really, really enjoyed it. Kieran, thanks very much. Ross, that tash is looking even better than it did when we came on. Tremendous. Stuart, keep wearing the cast off. Take advantage of other sales.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the comments, thank you very much indeed. If you're not a member, because this should have been a member show, if you're not a member, become a member. It's only a couple of quid a month, I think. And we will catch you on the flip side. Good night.